Aloha, my name is Mahealani Wendt, and this poem is called Keauhou, Song of Renewal. This earth is sweet, its spirits full of providence. Mountains shake torrential skies, cloud and leaf scattered before their winds. Each far shore is a vision of colors hovering, disappearing, circles of light encircling rain. This earth is sacred, a sacrament of blood, earth, shell, and bone. Wraith spirits dance, teeming gossamer, transparent wing and gill, while night marches keep their ancient sojourn. This land has known the dark incision of steel, granite, glass, gray boneyards of iron, chilling slabs of high rise, concrete vaults, embalming places for 4 million souls by the coroner of commerce. But this land still sings. Grass, flowers, gulls, surge of ocean, thunder, the wind's lullaby, all a chorus of renewal, a mighty chorus of earth's eternal song. Aloha.
Yeah. You've led just such a busy and productive and engaged and passionate life. And I've known you for over 40 years, and I've known that poetry and expression and even music have been a part of that. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what's been the importance of arts and expression and poetry to your understanding of of your life as an activist and a political mover and just an advocate generally.
The importance of poetry in my life of activism is just merely, an understanding that, everyone has a calling. Some are called to artistic expression, of which poetry is just one. And I think of art as, the, how would you say, the consummate or synonymous with subjective. It's deeply intimate and a reflection of one's innermost character. So the with respect to the relationship of poetry or any sort of art and activism, or how you translate that art into action, it has to do with just to me it has to do with integrity, so that all parts of your life are cohere and make sense. So everybody has a path, and I some of you know that I grew up super poor. I you know My parents were separated when I was really pretty young. We moved to the tenements of Honolulu, and it took a while, but after a while I realized that most of the people there were Hawaiians, and the people who really reached out to us were social workers. They were people who helped. And so from a very young age, I emulated that. I felt that that was a very worthy thing to do. And I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to help. The awareness of being Hawaiian came later, but I found my way there. So the sensibility and the inside ethic, the character, is where the art comes from. So it's really an expression of what is already there innately and deep inside. And so not everyone who not everyone is called to express themselves in an artful way. So I actually appreciate all of the arts. I love painting. I love music. I love whatever. I just love all of it. And so when I emailed the video, I said, I love Legong, I love Kathakali, I love um, flamenco. And from a very young age, I do hula. I studied hula. So it just resonates with me. And I'm pretty sure that I got that from my parents. My dad, I mean, as far as literature wise, both of my parents read to us, 7 of us children, while they were together. After they separated, my mother was very, very well read. She wasn't college educated. She was just somebody who was just really, really curious about the world. And so we were exposed to a lot of very interesting. She calls it esoteric, literature. And so from a very young age, I was making book reports about, the Dalai Lama and things like that. It was just really different. So I've grown up from a really young age just loving literature. So obviously, apparently, that's somehow my path because I've been writing poems since I was, pretty young. And I love music, but somehow I don't write music. I was asked to, write lyrics for a song. So I have one song that's, being sort of recorded, but somehow I'm not called to write music per se. I'm just really into poetry. So poetry is sort of like a distillation of your innermost feelings expressed in language, and it could be oral or written down. And I think it's sort of irrepressible. It's like I cannot not be who I am as a poet. I'm not doing it every day, but I'm living it every day for sure. My thoughts are always there. I'm always there hanging with music or poetry, always. I do a lot of work in the community. At Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, my staff understood this about me. I would write poems about them, occasional poems for the particular situation or predicament we were in, or I would do it to celebrate our people on our staff. It's just something that just came super naturally. I just did it all the time, and I still do it. It's just something I hang out with all the time. And I think that's just, some people can't help, they want to paint and draw all the time. Some people want to sculpt, some people want to craft. I don't know why, but I've always loved language and poetry. So, yeah.
Could you talk?
And
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that your question about why I chose that song. If you folks have a chance, you might want to check out the video. It's kind of profane and stuff, but it's what the kids listen to nowadays, and I super like it. I'm not just saying it; I mean, I like it, and why I like it is because it's authentic, it's real, it's to me it exposes and it expresses a vulnerability, a person's really heartfelt feelings, and it's not easy to put it all out there for people to see. So I mean I get all of that from that music. If you can get past the sort of the genre, it's kind of, I don't know what you call it, rap or whatever, but I like it. And so that's what's most important to me. And I went and got some of my, my poetry out, and I was actually kind of surprised at the number of poems where I either write about prison or I write about drugs. Here's a really short one. When will the silver-chained hands, rich veined and held unsteady for a further infusion of needles gold, be lifted to receive the clear benediction of trees, ocean, wind? That's a really short one, and it's called Chunky. But I have a lot of them, and my poem for the Queen, one of my poems for our Queen. We are gathered with shackled hands. We are gathered with shackled feet. We are gathered in the dust of forget. And those are images of drugs, and those are images of being imprisoned and shackled as a people. So I really mean it when I say I'm very open, and I'm still really concerned about our young people who are lost, to incarceration and drugs and all of that. I really care about that and what we can do as a people to help heal that. So anyway.
Aiko?
Yeah, thank you. Um, Auntie Mahealani, the recording of Keauhou was so beautiful, and you sent the text. I was reading the words again. Can you share more about maybe a line in there or an image in there that's kind of singing to you, and why you're offering that poem?
Yeah, I've offered Keauhou because I think a hulihia is like a turning and a new beginning. And I thought of that poem, and I say, I'm an optimist, and I believe ultimately, our salvation is in Earth, is in Mother Earth, and that in spite of our transgressions against her, somehow, we will ultimately be okay. And even if we perish as a human race, Earth will still be here. Earth will be beautiful. The animals will still, and for me, that's a lovely thought. And it's very comforting to me. So, things turn over, but in turn, I think there is a sort of an essential healing quality about this beautiful planet that we live on. And so I wanted to offer that. It says, there's so many blessings, and yet, we, mankind, we sort of defile and desecrate this wondrous gift that we have been given. And yet, in spite of that, in spite of how disrespectful we are and how, selfish we are, somehow there's a spirit there that surpasses, our very, how you say, venal tendencies. And and ultimately, that is what is going to, transcend all of this stuff that we do to hurt our planet. So that's the mana'o behind of that. I really do feel that this life on this earth is a blessing, and that it's far larger than us. And I'm thinking that perhaps every age has had its this is feeling of pessimism and feeling like it's apocalyptic. We have had the luxury of not having war visited on us in our lifetimes. We're not at war in our homeland. The wars are someplace else, and we've been lucky. We have dodged a bullet in that regard. But I think every age, right now we're dealing with pandemic, we're dealing with so many things. It feels like the national political scene is so very, very divisive. And it feels very, very like a downer. It just feels like things are really, really not looking good. But like I said, I kind of optimist about things at all times, no matter what. Global warming scares the hell out of me, but I still feel that, this is something that we have done to our planet, and that this planet is going to be okay with or without us. And that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Although, I don't want to see people suffer, much less my own children. I have 3 children. I have 8 grandchildren. I have 3 great grandchildren. The thought of them suffering is not a pleasant thing to me. But still, I have this kind of transcendent feeling about our existence here on the planet. So it's all, to me, it's all related.
Yeah, it still sings. The earth still sings the sweetness. Kamalo. Um, Craig, I wanted to suggest, unless you had a burning question, I wonder if Anthony or Makamai had a question. I feel like, um, yeah, I just wanted to offer that space if they wanted to ask something. I feel like there's so much that was already shared. That's great.
Yeah, I was surprised with the song you shared, Auntie Mahealani. I was like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
some kind of radical fusion jazz bebop or something. But then, then the weekend came up and I was like, oh, that was I had to refresh my browser because I was like, is this the right link or what? But then I realized, oh wow, it is. That's so I
I
what
I I think The Weeknd is amazing. I think he's an amazing artist. And I sometimes I read into his lyrics and I'm going, oh my God, that sounds really kind of dark, and but I still think he's really amazing. So
I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind sharing some because I think it's a good opportunity to connect with the generation that I'm an old fuck too already, but it's that generation that are their early 20s, they're teenagers yet. And in so many ways, sometimes, especially when we start talking about art, and especially if we feel so connected with it. Sometimes the younger folks who don't really understand what art is and they hear from us, they might feel more disconnected because we're talking about these higher concepts or this older fashioned thing to them. And so when you shared the weekend, like I was like,
yeah,
oh wow, that's
yeah.
something that it's an opportunity that I think they could feel connected with. So I was wondering if
If you want to, so I was asked to teach a class of poetry as a guest at the Hana High School. And I thought the same thing. I said, how these kids are going to relate to anything I have to say, about poetry, because it just seems so like, especially these days, it just seems like it's irrelevant. And I understand that. So I went there and every day, so I did it for a week. And every day I did music. And I took the music and I put it and I had them look at it and I said, look, this is poetry right here. This is poetry. So we'd go through the words together, we'd play the music, and we'd be in class and this music would be playing, and the kids outside would be like checking it out. They'd be walking by and like, whoa, what's up? And I found that was really effective. That is what they understand, and I want what I was trying to get them to kind of like sort of appreciate was that it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The stuff that's in this music that you guys like, that I like too, is actually poetry. And you guys can do this. You can do this. You love this music. Hey, check it out, go write your own music. You know what I mean? It's like I really do feel. And so anyway, it was pretty good. It was successful. Now it was like a senior class, and guess what they did? They asked me to speak at their graduation. So I was really like blown away with that. So I thought, okay, I must have been okay at teaching them, poetry and stuff. And I used the music to actually talk about, the sort of like the how would you say, the technical stuff about poetry, like alliteration. Like, okay, this is what is alliteration. Okay, gang, da 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 da, and rhyme. I said, hey, all this stuff is like total rhyming. So I think that that's one way. I don't expect them to go read, you know, um, like the kind of literature that I grew up loving and stuff. Why should they? Why should they? We're dealing with what they're exposed to today, and we have to, be sensitive, I think, to that, and meet them where they live. So the thing about the music is I genuinely like the music. I like The Weeknd. I like Post Malone, you know, so it's not hard for me to do that.
And see my hand. I've been thinking about it a lot this past week on how art can be a space for healing. And just thinking of our youth and the way maybe they don't see art as that, I guess, kind of vessel to process all the things, right? I think of our immersion and our charter school students who are learning the history that we may not have learned in school, and to process all that, yeah, and that anger that might come out, or the generational trauma. So would you be willing to kind of speak more to ways art can help heal and kind of just process all of that?
Yeah, and again, because art is a way to express your innermost and most intimate feeling from your uniquely constituted, DNA and who you are. I mean, everybody, it's like your fingerprint. Nobody is like you. Only you know who you are inside. So you have something to offer that's special and unique to you. If you want to. So the trauma, I mean, I went through trauma. I was so pissed. Because when I was in high school, nobody taught us our history. I was really, really angry. And so when I went to college, I used to stand up and make trouble to our teachers. I used to I was just out of control. I was so angry. And when they were teaching, when they were not teaching the truth, I would call them out. So that, maybe that's counterproductive. I mean, just pretty much it's just venting. But I learned how to channel that, and that's how I found my way to, I started the prison reform. I was working with prison reform, and then I went to legal aid, and I started channeling that energy in ways that were I felt more constructive. So through art, I mean, I've written a lot of poems expressing that hurt. Every year we did a reading for Queen Lily Okalani at her center on Halona Street, and I would write something every year for her. And sometimes it would be really, really sad, very mournful. And sometimes when things were looking a little bit more optimistic for Allahue, I would write things that were a little bit more happy and stuff. So, my first point for her was we are singing a requiem for our mother. Our voices a shroud across this land. Wrenched we were from Kamaka Eha's soft bosom, wretched our grief inconsolable. We are feeble scratchings against cold granite vaults, tremulous as moondark trees. But anyway, the images are on and on and on about how wretched we are and how sad we are. And a requiem is like a funeral song, and a shroud is a covering on the body, on a dead body. So all of those images were very, very funereal, and that's how I was feeling. I was really, really sad, and that was my first poem that I wrote for her, and it's for her, but it's to try to express this feeling of loss. And for me, I believe that when you are able to do that in whatever art form that is for you, musically, or playing an instrument or painting, whatever it is, whatever whatever it is, it's very, very therapeutic and healing. It helps. Because ultimately, even though it's a really personal thing that you do, what you want really is for someone to validate you that your feelings they share also. You know, that they also feel sad. They feel sad about our queen. They feel sad about loss of our country and our nation. And maybe they can't find the words, but when they hear you, you know, they think about ways that they feel and how their feelings might be, you know, not exactly described the way one person did, but you know, it's kind of like showing a possible way to express. I think it's very therapeutic. It's therapeutic for me. The first time I did that poem, I cried. You know, I didn't realize, you know, sometimes I do that. I don't realize how deeply I'm feeling this thing until I go out and share it, and then I start crying. So so it's therapeutic. It's really therapeutic, I think. Art is, you know, and I don't, you know, if people feel that they're not artists and stuff, you know, there are ways that, you know, that we express these feelings, and this is one way. But I like the thing about music because I think people can relate to music. If they cannot sing, they can play the drums or something. If they cannot play the drums, they can try the uke. If they can, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of ways you can do music. So I think most people can write a rap or something, pretty much, if they want to.
I love your optimism into my hair because I got banned from even doing the egg shakers when I was working with Madam Howley.
You got the egg shakers. I got oh, did you see me do that, by the way? Do you know that?
No, do you have
The
a
I had these in the car. I have two of them. And actually, okay, so when we lived we lived on 4th Street when it was a tenement, and there was this tata, the you know, our Filipino godfather, and he used to make ukuleles, and he taught all of us how to make ukuleles, and he actually played in a Filipino band, and they used to be on Filipino Fiesta. And so he, you know, he would pass out the instruments and we would all play together. So ever since then I like rhythm instruments. So these two little things, sometimes I put them in the car when I'm driving, I'm listening to music, and if it's the right music, I'll play it out. You know, I have pretty good rhythm. So this is like my maracas, the eggshell, the eggs. Can you guys hear it? I play along with certain kind of music. I play this. I'll be driving like this and going, whoa. And then when, you know, my husband is driving, I pull it out and I start going off, and then he's just like shaking his head. He's learned that I'm, you know, I'm kind of different. And we make a joke about it. I said my highest ambition is to be like a one person band, you know, like what's his name in Mary Poppins, where you have like the harmonica, you know, around the head, and then the banjo, and then the drums, and you know, whatever. I like to do that. I would like to do that. And then he said, well, if you do that, we can go Vegas, and then I can put the, you know, the bag to collect the money, and then we'll have money to, you know, play the slots and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really would like to do that. If I could do that, I would be really happy. I would be really happy. It's like a bucket list thing for me. If I could do that, if I could hook up myself to, you know, be a one person band, I would have be so fun. It would be so fun.